Welcome to MindMap Archive, and don't forget to subscribe. Welcome to new video we talk about today, Milgram Experiment. Let's get started video. A quiet, unassuming room, a man in a lab coat, and a seemingly ordinary person sitting at a table, facing a daunting machine with a row of switches. Each switch is labeled with a voltage, starting from a mild 15 volts and escalating all the way to a dangerous 450 volts. Now, imagine you're that person. You're told that your task is simple: administer a shock to a learner every time they answer a question incorrectly. The man in the lab coat assures you it's necessary for the experiment, but as the learner cries out in pain, you're torn between obeying the authority and following your own conscience. This is the unsettling reality of the Milgram experiment. Before we dive in, make sure to hit that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, and drop a comment below. Once you're done watching, don't forget to share this video. Let's get started. Chapter 1. The birth of a controversial study. In the early 1960s, a young psychologist named Stanley Milgram, fresh out of Harvard, was troubled by a pressing question: how could ordinary people participate in the atrocities of the Holocaust? Was it simply blind obedience to authority, or was there something more sinister at play? Determined to find answers, Milgram designed an experiment that would shake the foundations of our understanding of human nature. Milgram's study was conducted at Yale University, a prestigious institution that lent credibility to the experiment. Participants, who were ordinary men from various walks of life, were recruited under the guise of a study on memory and learning. They were told they'd be helping to test the effects of punishment on learning, a seemingly benign task. But what they didn't know was that the real subject of the experiment wasn't the learner they were tasked with shocking, but themselves. Milgram wanted to see how far they'd go in obeying an authority figure, even when it meant causing harm to another human being. Chapter 2. The setup. The experiment's setup was deceptively simple. The participant, who was always assigned the role of the teacher, was seated in front of a machine with 30 switches, each labeled with increasing voltages. The learner, an actor who was in on the experiment, was strapped to a chair in another room, out of sight but within earshot. The participant was instructed to read out word pairs to the learner and deliver an electric shock for every incorrect response. The shocks were fake, but the participant didn't know that. As the learner intentionally got more and more answers wrong, the participant was urged by the experimenter, a stern man in a lab coat, to increase the voltage with each mistake. At first, the shocks were mild, and the learner responded with little more than a grunt. But as the voltage increased, so did the learner's protests. He began to cry out in pain, pleading with the participant to stop. He mentioned a heart condition, screamed, and eventually fell silent, as if unconscious or worse. The participant was faced with a harrowing choice: continue obeying the authority figure or listen to their own moral compass. Chapter 3. The results that shocked the world. What would you do in this situation? Most of us like to think we'd stop, that we'd refuse to hurt another person. But Milgram's results painted a different, more disturbing picture. Astonishingly, 65% of participants continued to the maximum voltage of 450 volts, even when they believed they were causing severe harm or potentially killing the learner. Many participants were visibly distressed. They sweated, trembled, stuttered, and bit their lips. Some even laughed nervously, caught between the horror of their actions and the authority figure's commands. Yet, despite their discomfort, the majority obeyed, driven by the power of authority. Milgram's findings sent shockwaves through the psychological community and the public at large. It challenged the notion that only certain people, those with a cruel disposition, could commit acts of evil. Instead, it suggested that under the right conditions, anyone might follow orders, even to the point of causing serious harm to another person. Chapter 4. Ethical controversies. But as groundbreaking as the Milgram experiment was, it wasn't without its critics. The experiment raised serious ethical questions about the treatment of participants. Many argued that Milgram's deception and the emotional distress caused to participants were unjustifiable. Participants were led to believe they were inflicting real pain, and even after the experiment ended, some were left with lingering feelings of guilt and anxiety. Although Milgram debriefed his participants, revealing the true nature of the experiment and reassuring them that the learner had not been harmed, the emotional impact was undeniable. This ethical controversy sparked a broader debate in the field of psychology. It led to stricter guidelines for the treatment of human subjects in research, emphasizing the importance of informed consent and the right to withdraw from an experiment at any time. Chapter 5. The legacy of the Milgram experiment. Despite its ethical shortcomings, the Milgram experiment remains one of the most influential studies in psychology. Its findings have been replicated in various cultures and settings, consistently showing that people are often willing to obey authority figures, even at the cost of their own moral beliefs. The experiment has also found relevance beyond the realm of psychology. It's been used to understand the behavior of soldiers in wartime, the actions of individuals in corporate scandals, and even the conduct of everyday citizens in situations where authority is at play. The Milgram experiment serves as a stark reminder of the potential dangers of blind obedience. It challenges us to think critically about the power dynamics in our lives and the importance of standing up for what we believe is right, even in the face of authority. Conclusion. So, what does the Milgram experiment teach us? It's a chilling exploration of the human psychology, revealing just how easily we can be swayed by authority, even when it goes against our deepest moral convictions. As we reflect on this experiment, we must ask ourselves, in a similar situation, would we have the courage to resist, or would we, too, become agents of harm? In a world where authority figures often wield immense power, the lessons of the Milgram experiment are more relevant than ever. It's a call to remain vigilant, to question, and to remember that the responsibility for our actions ultimately rests with us. Thanks for being with us on this journey through one of the most disturbing experiments in history. If this story impacted you like it did for us, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. We bring you more eye-opening stories that dig deep into the truths often left untold. Let's keep these crucial conversations going. Until next time, stay curious, stay critical, and never stop questioning the world around you.